at 4.2%, and the Fed says it's watching the fallout from the war between Israel and Iran. Joining us now is Anthony Saccaro, president of Providence Financial and Insurance Services. Anthony, good to have you back.
Thank you, Alicia.
So this committee has had months of internal dissent, and now suddenly a 12-0 vote. What does this unanimous vote tell you that a divided one could not before?
Well, first of all, I love the tone that Kevin has set. He's funny, and I think that's important too. But the reality is that he made it sound like they're going to get it done. Absolute committed. He's doing 5 committees that he's putting into place. He's not doing forward guidance. You get the feeling that they're going to make some changes and they're going to deliver price stability. That's one of the things that he focused on in a very pleasant tone, a very people-skilled tone, but a very you kind of believe him tone. Now, what that means to me, though, is that something has to change because inflation has been creeping up and they've held rates steady for the last 4. And for the first time in months, matter of fact, for the first time in years, we're talking about rate increases at this point. Going into the year, it was all about rate cuts. How many cuts are we going to have? And now all of a sudden you've got one person on the board that's saying that we might have 3 rate increases this year. There were multiple that said maybe 2. There were even more that said maybe 1 rate increase. I think the rate cut needs to come off the table because if they're going to get price stability in line and they're going to do their job as strict as he was saying and as forceful as he kind of put it out there, they can't leave things the same. The only way to get inflation down is to increase on rates. And we went a total flip from the beginning of the year where we were expecting there to be cuts to now, I think there's like a 50% chance of a rate increase this year. That's what has to happen if they're going to get rates under control.
Okay, so hikes are more likely than cuts is what you're saying. What's the single biggest signal in today's statement from the Fed that flipped your thinking?
So I think there's a couple of signals. First of all, the question I think that we need to ask is this inflation temporary because of the war in Iran, because of energy? Is it something that's temporary? I've heard commentary, people saying that it is temporary. It is passing. You know what? That sounds a lot like COVID when they said that the inflation, the supply chain was temporary and they got behind the 8 ball. I think Kevin Warsh wants to get behind the 8 ball with his first meeting and his first few months in office. So I don't think it's necessarily all tied to inflation. In the statement today, they also talked about the fact that even core inflation is up year over year, month over month. It's not just tied to energy. So energy is a big reason for the inflation, but core inflation is up as well too. So I think what we can take from it is that growth, economic growth, GDP in this country is going in a good direction, a very positive direction. That needs to be tailored. If that's not tailored, inflation is going to keep rising. I don't see how they cannot do an increase at this point unless we have a recession, unless something changes and the market gets spooked for something, market's at record highs. If the market gets spooked and we have a recession, then they're going to be forced to lower rates, but it won't be proactive. It would be reactive. Right now, without any of that, they're going to have to raise rates. I don't see how they can avoid it to keep inflation in check.
All right, back to your point about the Fed's hardening tone on inflation and that line about delivering price stability. You know what? I wish I could finish that question, but I'm getting word in my ear that President Trump is speaking live, so we're going to take it live to the president. This is breaking news. Anthony Saccaro, thank you.